Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black entrepreneur experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards. Our next guest is the founder of House of Howell, life coach, author, mentor, and public speaker. Welcome, Randy G. Howell Jr.
How you doing?
Perfect. How are you?
Everything is beautiful. I'm happy to be here this morning.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you want them to know about you and your coaching business?
Well, I deem myself a truth coach, and I like to explain that I started out calling myself a life coach. And with each individual that I was helping, I become to realize that it wasn't life that was the issue. It was a form of a person finding their truth within their scenario. To instead of trying to make the scenario adapt to them, they had to create a persona that they could fit into the gap, whether it fit perfectly or not. I like for people to understand the importance of self. How can you make things around you better if you're broken? So by living in your truth, you can find a way to create completeness upon yourself, and you actually become a better light for those around you. So that's what I do. I help people to dive into their story, but I have them dive into their story in a way that is focused on them. See, what I've come to understand is we live in a world where we're told selfishness is not the way. But to me, selfishness is self-care. How can I be the best husband, be the best father, if I don't take care of myself first? I'm not giving you 100% of me. So that's where the Truth Coach brand comes from. It comes from helping people to realize the importance of their truth, learning how to be happy with self, positioning themselves in their life, whether there's adding or subtracting things from it, to be able to give the world the best version of them.
Coach Randy, you talked about diving into story.
Yes, ma'am.
Share your story.
My story. Well, this is actually where the Truth Coach brand came from. I grew up in a two-parent home, love, no quarrels about people raising an individual, and they're doing the best they can. But what I had to realize was sometimes an individual's best may not give everybody all of the components that they need. And that's where my level of trauma came from. I was the firstborn in a kind of strict religious home. And so I had a lot of boundaries that, unlike all of my peers, didn't have. I was restricted on doing a lot of things. And I heard the word no a lot. I was to understand my place, and I never really had a voice. And it is kind of ironic now that I have a voice. I now have a voice, and for a long time, I didn't know how to deliver myself because I just wanted to be heard. Because I'd been all my life, I was like, be quiet, hush. You need to listen. You're the child, I'm the adult. I was like, but if you just give me a moment, I may give you something to help the scenario. Well, I never got that option. And when I had my kids of my own, I had my first daughter in 2008. And I realized that at an early age, my kids actually did have something that could be viable to assisting me in raising them, because they do have opinions. They do witness things. They may have a reason why they did something. You can't always assume that you have results from a scenario that you assume. Sometimes you have to ask the person that created the acts what actually happened. And I said, Randy, this is the point in my life where I have to start living in my truth. And my truth was, Mom and Dad, I love you. Y'all did the best you could. But if you had just given me an opportunity to speak and listen to me, don't judge me for my age, just listen to me. Maybe we could have had some advancements in other areas. Maybe the quote unquote delay of certain successes would have been earlier. Now, I'm not saying that I would be where I am now 15 years ago. Sometimes you just look for opportunity. And that's where my truth came from. My truth came from knowing when. See, one thing I did learn from those times was, Randy, don't just speak off the rip. Know what you're talking about. Because you may only get one opportunity to deliver this information. So you want to ensure that the information that you deliver can be used, that is viable. So that's that one thing that I took from my quote unquote transgressions that I brought into my life. I don't like to just speak now. I like to speak not only to be heard, but I like to speak to be understood. And by speaking to be understood, I then learned that, hey, those suicidal thoughts that I was having, those high levels of anxiety, because I was trying to live in a perfect world and there's no such thing. So that one moment, people say, Randy, that's not a trauma. See, trauma's not always abuse physically or mentally. Sometimes it's the small, everything starts from something small. And mentally, I was dying because I felt like I was on an island by myself and nobody wanted to hear me. And I felt at one point, I remember driving from a job and I said, you know what, if I just drive off this mountain, I'd make it better for everybody. Nobody would have known. I would have been gone in possible peace. But then I thought about my wife and my kids and I said, you know, Randy, they depend on me. Don't run away. Stop being afraid to hurt people's feelings and speak your truth. And by speaking your truth, you're going to free yourself. And I tell you, I live in peace and light now. And that's what I try to help everyone to do. I want them to find those small moments in their story. And I want us to implement some type of change. And by implementing that change, we're going to manifest new developments. And then we're going to become something new. We're not going to become a facade. We're going to become something new. People are going to see it. Now people see it. They're like, you're different. I'm like, yeah, I'm different because I'm now happy. I'm happy. I'm free. I'm able to give my wife and my kids 100% of me. But believe it or not, now that I have went to my story and became okay with how me and my parents have our small differences, my relationship can now be better with them because I don't have I don't have any negative feelings because of certain mistakes. Now I understand that things happen. I was a parent. I was making mistakes. My kids still love me. Why would I continue to hold a grudge of some sort because they didn't know? So now I'm making better relationship with them. And when I tell you it's love and light and peace all the time with Randy G. Howell Jr. now, because I live within my truth. And now I just want everybody around me to understand how important that is because I want people to have this feeling that I have every day when I wake up. Every day is a beautiful day for me.
Randy, you talked about suicide.
Yes, ma'am.
It's an alarming rate of our young people taking their lives.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk to someone out there.
Don't be afraid to talk. I don't stop assuming, and I'm coming from my experience. Stop assuming that no one's listening. My thoughts came from harboring my feelings. My thoughts came from being afraid that no one was there to want to help me. I thought I was the only one going through this scenario. I cannot express how important your voice is. Don't be afraid. I don't care if no one listens. Letting it out will attract something in to help you, but you got to do it. You got to do it. And and this is what I tell people. This is one reason why God put me in my position, because I am here, the unbiased wall to throw it all off of. Throw it at me if you can't throw it at anybody else. But I would rather you give it to me and let me help you to learn how to adjust and face and fix instead of just giving up, because I cannot tell you enough, when I saw myself giving up, there was nothing on the other side but pain and grief. Please, please, please don't be afraid to say something. I can only come from my experience. If I hadn't have opened my mouth, I wouldn't be talking to you today.
Randy, who is your ideal client?
People. And I'm told not to say that. But pain has no face. Trauma has no demographic. It has no hierarchy. It can affect anyone at any time. So I can't limit healing to a tax bracket. I can't I can't I can't limit healing to a religious background or a color barrier. I'm here to help the people of this world to become better. My motto is if I can help one person at a time, I will create a domino effect and help millions. Because it's amazing how something that has changed makes a difference. Not altered, but changed. You can have an ugly house on a block and you'll never notice that house. But when I go and I take the time to paint that outside and make it beautiful and change the shutters, put new windows on there, pressure wash the driveway, manicure the lawn, now every time you go home, you're going to say, I like that. See, change makes a difference. So I have to help people to become better individuals to create a better mass.
Talk about marriage, manhood, and fatherhood.
Leave the ego at the door. We're as a man, I was taught to lead the home, but you're not told how to lead the home. So you assume that you have to be the aggressor and you have to be the one to make those heavy decisions. You have to be the one to do it. And you have to bring home the bread. You have to bring home the bread, but you have a partner. You have individuals that are watching this movie play out that are eventually going to be starring in their own role. Find out how to set the best example in totality. Understand how to have emotion. It's okay for a man to have an emotion. It's okay to not make all this. It's okay to have a discussion with your spouse. It's okay to say, what do you think about it? See, what people don't know is I've been married now 22 years in June. And I was trying to be the man's man for the first 19 years of my marriage. I didn't know how to do it. So the only thing I knew to do was if I bring these results to my wife, she's gonna always be happy. This is a true story. November of 2019, I had to realize that I may or may not lose my pride and joy. So I had to live in my truth with her. And I had to come to her and I had to say, this is the things that I've been doing, and this is why I'm trying to be the guy. You got to remember, I never was given the opportunity to be able to bring home the prize. Now I'm a man, so I got to bring home the prize. And she was like, babe, I get that. She said, but what about me? She said, that's why I never get excited when you bring me home, babe. Look what I did. And she said, that's cool. She said, it's not about the end result for me. She said, I want to be involved in the process. She said, but since you're telling me this, all the things that you did, cool. I'm proud of you today because you now get it. I said, wait a minute. I was afraid. Trust me. I was like, Lord, she's about to leave me. I don't know what I'm going to do. She came and gave me a kiss. A conversation I thought that was going to be an hour and we are going to have attorneys involved took 3 minutes. And we haven't had a disagreement of any high level of magnitude since, and it is 2023. We still work together full time. And now she's came in on the business with me because now I have left my ego at the door and I let her greatness, because she's great as well. I had to stop diminishing her light so that I could shine. See, I realized that a man of my magnitude has the strength and the fortitude to allow his beautiful wife to shine, even if it's brighter. And by allowing her to be great, made everything around us greater. Now my daughters, I have two beautiful daughters that now see two things in their home. They see a strong Black woman that can make it on her own, that does not need her spouse, but has a man that she needs in her life because he accentuates and he grows with her together as one, not as two individuals. So they have an example now of, I need somebody that understands who I am first and how we can come together to create something great instead of having two individual pieces. And I can't give men enough advice about this except for one thing. Listen to your wife. Talk to her. Allow her to have a voice. Because I'm going to tell you, 4 hands, 4 legs, and 4 feet is way stronger than 2.
Talk to a younger Randy. What advice are you giving to a younger you?
Don't be afraid of what the reaction may be to get your moment, because you might only have that one chance. See, I'm blessed that I had a second chance at my moment. And my moment is voicing myself. Don't be afraid of the reaction. Don't be afraid of the possible results. At the end of the day, if this is your last time to speak, it needs to be your truth. It needs to be your truth. And that's what I would tell myself, because I have so many instances in my life where if I had have spoken up, at least they would have known. Whether the results were the same, they would have known. But by not speaking my voice, how can I get mad and how can I continue to hold a grudge on somebody that never knew? You can't. You can't hold a grudge on somebody if they did not know that they hurt you. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what I would do. I would go back to myself and say, you had all the components, but one thing, you are afraid to speak your truth. And by speaking my truth, I would have started changing this world a long time before now. But you know what? God's timing is beautiful. And he has positioned me. See, he positioned me with my spouse first before he let me go, because he knew that I could not do what I'm supposed to do, what my assignment is, from brokenness. It had to be whole first, so that when I go out here and I'm helping people, they not only feel it, but they also see it, and they will tell you that he lives it. He's not bringing it false. He's coming 100 at all times. And I can only tell people to watch out, because I'm going to tell you what he has for me to give to the world. This is going to be a beautiful journey on the second half of my life, I tell you.
What does self-care look like for Randy?
Man, I'm a person of self-affirmations all the time. I let myself know that I'm great. I let myself know that I do a good job. I am proud of me. I tell myself that I'm a beautiful person. I never let negative energy embed my inside. I will walk away to regroup, to stay positive. I believe that a smile will change anything. So I carry one 24/7. See, I do self-care by being strong enough to be happy all the time. And when I'm not happy, I step away to find my happiness. Because every time I meet someone, doctor, I want them to say, you changed my day. And I'm doing pretty good with it. I'll walk in a room and somebody will say, you know what, your light just changed my day. I may have just saved a life. See, I learned how to save people's lives through silence. And I save people's lives through silence by letting my happiness scream loud.
I want you to have a monologue. I want you to name this person, living or not. They've changed your life. They made such an impact on your life. Who is that person, and what are you saying to that person?
Thank you for believing in me. And that goes to my wife. She is my hero. She's my example. She's my everything. She did not have to. See, what a lot of people don't know is I have severe ADHD. And even though she didn't understand what it was, she never let me go through all of the mistakes that I make. I make a lot of mistakes because I literally have an attention deficit. So she may give me tasks, and if they're not on paper, I'll forget them. And it might be 5, 6, 7 days later, and then I'll do it like I just got it. But I could be made a very serious mistake at that moment because she may have needed it then. She didn't need me, but she loved me. And she knew that she wanted me to be a part of her big picture. So she dealt with me. Oh my God. Just to think about the things that I took her through, I can only put her at the pinnacle because she should not have, let me say it that way. She should not, when she had her out, she should have taken it. But I remember one day, and people don't know that from 2004 to 2012, I walked away from corporate America and became her assistant. We opened a beauty salon and I became her personal assistant. I ran the front counter. I did everything. So as a man, I wasn't bringing in the bread. But as a idiot, I messed up a lot of money. And she never left my side. And I remember one day she said, babe, let me tell you something. She said, I could make $100,000 a month and that'll take care of us. I said, yeah, it will. She said, but our family will not be whole until you speak. I did not see how important that was until I walked into my purpose. And to see her smile every day, she tells me she's proud of me so much that it's like, hello. She just told me 10 times this morning, I'm so proud of you. And the Lord has blessed me with the ability to retire my wife 2 weeks ago at 42 years of age. Now she's my full-time manager. And she looked at me and she said, I couldn't have did this 5 years ago, babe. She said, but the reason why I can do it now is, she said, because you now make me feel safe. So to answer your question, my wife is my world and she's my everything. And she gets all the credit for the man that you're talking to today. And I'm not discounting my mother and my father, but she took something broken and she took her time to mend it well. But she didn't mend it well for herself. She mended it well for me.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you. Shout out your wife. Say her name.
Her name is Damika Howell.
That's powerful. Thank you.
Damika Howell. That's my baby. I love her. I love her. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you enough.
Yes, yes. And thank you for sharing that authentic story about Black love
Yes.
and just the power of words and the power of unity.
Yes.
And I mean, it's so much. It's so much. And I love what you said about, she said, I now feel safe.
Yes, yes. Oh God, that made my heart.
How, oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
How many women and men in relationships, they want to feel safe?
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Hey, I'm holding back the tears right now at 9:30 in the morning. I tell you, to hear those words, wow. For her to look at this broken man
Wow.
and tell me, I feel safe. Thank you.
Wow. That's powerful.
Thank you.
That's powerful. Thank you for being so authentic. And when you said, she said, I'm so proud of you.
Yes, yes,
How many children, how many wives, how many husbands want to say or hear those words?
yes.
I'm so proud of
I'm
you.
so proud of you. Yes. Beauty. That's beauty in itself.
Attitude of gratitude. I want you to have a thank fest. Thank you fest.
Yes.
Have at it.
Man, I want to thank the atmosphere. Thank God. I want to thank D'Amica Howell. I want to thank my oldest daughter, Demi Howell, my baby girl, Dandelion Howell. You know, I want to thank my mom and my dad because without you all, I'm not here right now, physically or mentally. You all don't know how much you all have played. And I want to apologize to them for holding grudges for mistakes that you did not know about. I want to thank my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, because they taught me so much. I want to thank all of my extended family members for just being here with me on my journey and not letting me go. You know, I have people that I thought let me go, and then I realized that everybody has their own time and their space, and then you have a conversation with them, and they say, "I've been watching you," and that makes you feel so good. So thank you to all those individuals. I want to thank all the people that are willing, like you, doctor, that are willing to listen to my story, give me an opportunity and a platform to scream that I know for a fact that the truth really matters. I'm going after something that people told me I should not do. But I want to thank those that told me I couldn't because they put me on my purpose. Hey, that's it. That's it. You know, they say I don't call people haters. I call them those that don't know yet.
Randy, there are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or business that's dominating that you admire and why.
Man, that's an amazing question. You know, and people may not understand this what I'm saying, but I truly have a mental that wants to have world denomination in change. I truly believe that change can happen and it can be like a wildfire. So I admire what the sports world has done to create world domination. I admire how soccer is worldwide. I admire how football is worldwide. Basketball is worldwide. You imagine if a little old person like Randy can create national change and everybody is on their toes and they're always waiting to hear what the next thing is going to be coming from coach. People say that's far-fetched, but I don't think so. So I look at that as my motivation. I say, you know, they're not only great in totality, they have individuals within the process that are just as big as the program. I don't have to be the program. I just want to be one of those people that they position. See, my world is the sports. I am going to create my own stage, my own platform like the Michaels and like the LeBrons. That's what I'm looking for right there. I want that moment to be able to change the world by screaming at the mountaintop that the truth truly will set you free.
What problem exists in the world today that you'd like to solve?
I wish that people would see this thing that we have, social media has stopped people from living within their self. We're living for likes and appearances and things of that nature. And I feel that that's where a lot of this transgression is coming from because we forget about what's going on around us because we always want to find out what's going on within our palm of our hand. I think that we need to scale back a little bit and remember that true self-care is important. And you have been neglecting yourself because you're trying to please everybody else. Why do we wake up and before we even look at ourselves, we look at how many notifications we have from last night. See, I still go to the mirror first. I don't even have my phone in my bedroom. I put it on the other side out, so I have to see Randy first so that I can say, thank you. Like I told you when we first got on the phone, I said the most beautiful thing to me is having the opportunity to talk to another individual. That means I was given the time to try again. We got to get back to talking to self. We got to get back to time to taking care of self and paying attention to the real things around us before we get lost in the AI world. Because the real world, that's where we stand. And it's just, and I look behind you and I see valuing, voice, and visibility. That's me in a nutshell. Value your voice, but also value your visibility before you worry about all that other stuff.
What is the true impact that you want this interview to make to our audience? What's the takeaway?
I want them to see, even in the worst of times, if you really look at your scenario, block out everything else, and think about what you need to make you happy, you can find this bliss that I'm living in. I tell you, this smile is not fake. Those tears are real. That I still get the butterflies because I know that I'm living a fairy tale, and I want everyone to live inside that fairy tale. And I just want people to see my smile and understand that happiness is real. And if you can't find it for yourself, I want to be the one that you call because I'm already living it.
And how do they connect with you?
I make it simple. You can find me on all social media platforms as well as the World Wide Web. Truth Coach Randy. Truth Coach Randy. And if you want me on my website, it's truthcoachrandy.com. And trust me, you will get me because my manager does not let anything get past her.
Talk about your top two mentors. Some call them influencers. And what lessons did they teach you?
I was blessed to have a conversation with Eric Thomas, and as far as coaching goes, and the one thing that I learned from him was don't give up, even when the pressure's against you. But the one thing he showed me was that a man that has the same, that looks like me, doesn't have to be afraid to walk in any room and demand and get the respect from everybody within that room. So I appreciate him for being that example for me. And the other person is the people that aren't afraid to have their voice. You know, the people that aren't afraid to have their voice, people always call them crazy because they are speaking their truth. So I admire people that aren't afraid to be ridiculed because of their truth. Because though you may not like it, they are freeing themselves from something. And I want to live in that way. I want to be free. I don't want to be afraid. And I admire anyone that is strong enough to accept the ridicule that comes with living within their truth.
Fill in the blank. Thank you, pandemic, because.
Thank you, pandemic, because you taught me that things don't matter.
What book would you recommend and why?
Truth of the matter is, it's my first book. And I recommend that book because with every passage, it's going to make you think about where you're positioned, some of the decisions you have made, and what decisions you will make moving forward.
What is your goal or that big rock that you want to accomplish in the next 30 days?
In the next 30 days, I want to ensure that I impact at least one person each day that I wake up.
And how do you impact daily?
By shedding my light. I shed my light all the time, because by shedding my light, I create questions. By creating questions, I create a conversation, and through that conversation, we create solutions.
Let's take a snapshot of the past 30 days. What was your biggest win?
Oh man, past 30 days. Last night, as a matter of fact, I was at the premiere red carpet event of a show that I am one of the actors in. And the beauty of it all, the show is about a African-American plus size supermodel.
How did you celebrate?
And I'm sorry, not supermodel, superhero. She's a superhero, but she's a plus size African-American woman.
And how did you celebrate?
Oh man, we had a red carpet event and I celebrated the best way I could. I had my wife and my kids with me. And I'm gonna tell you the best thing, I'm not into this new slang or these kids, But we watched the clip, and I actually was blessed enough to be a part of one of the clips that he showed from the show. And my baby girl came to me and she said, "Dad, your 14 seconds of fame was 8." And I said, "What is 8?" She said, "Dad, it was amazing. I'm so proud of you." To hear that from my babies, that was celebration enough for me. That was celebration enough. It's the small things for me. I don't need all the bottles popped and all that and all the streamers. I need those small moments of gratitude where people show you that they really know how important you are. That makes me that's celebration enough for me.
And how did you land your acting role?
Be honest with you, by being me. I was called. I didn't audition. I was called, and they said, "Man, we've been watching you. You're an outstanding person. I love the way you treat your family, and then you're a powerful man. I think you'd be perfect for the role." And there it was.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Randy, advice you wish you had followed.
Wow. Don't be a liar. I used to live in a world of manipulation, and that was causing all of my transgressions. And I can say that I wish that the advice that I would have followed is because I lost a lot of relationships and missed out on a lot of relationships because of this. And to be living in my truth now, I can only imagine how much further along I would be if I had just been honest. If I had just been honest.
You talked about the advice you wish you had followed. What is the best advice you were ever given?
Hey, and this is not cliche. This is actually, I've answered this question a lot of times, and I remember talking to my father at my house one day, and I said, "Dad, I got to tell you something." I said, "You don't remember? I was 18, and I smoked marijuana at the time, and I remember him coming to me, and he said, 'Son, what's those burn seats in your car?' And I made some hypothetical thing up, because I'm afraid, you know what I'm saying." And he said, "I'm gonna tell you something." He said, "I'm going to believe you." He said, "But let me give you a piece of advice." He said, "If you're telling me a lie, and I ask you this again 20 years from now, you're gonna have to remember what you told me. Because I am going to remember, because I'm asking you for a reason." He said, "But if you tell me the truth, you never have to think about it again, because it will never change." Best advice he could have given me. Stop keeping yourself in moments of the past due to fabrications. Solidify it through the truth and honesty so that you can move on with freedom, because your next task may not need that baggage. Best advice I could have ever had in my life.
Did you ever have to recant it?
It was, don't, thank God he didn't remember. But I never forgot. I never forgot it because that stuck with me. Oh my God, that stuck with me. Yes, it did. It stuck with me.
Randy, what is your zone of genius?
That's a loaded question. That's a loaded question. My wife tells me that my zone of genius is my ability to listen. And that may not look like the answer that people want to hear. But we hear a lot and we forget. It's those people that understand the importance of listening that can make a difference. See, by listening, that thing that you may be overlooking, but that you keep repeating, may be the thing that we need to focus on. Many people have been there before. You don't realize that you keep saying the same thing and you're going, maybe that's the problem. But nobody has ever listened to you to pull it out of the scenario. So my genius comes from my ability to know how to listen.
If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
That's funny. Randy, why didn't you just speak up? You knew you were great. You knew what would have happened if you had a, why didn't you? I was afraid. I was afraid. I was afraid of, I had that weird fear. I had that weird fear that I would lose everything. I had that I would be exiled, that I would be put to the side, that I would be ridiculed for just speaking. I was afraid. I was afraid. I was afraid. I was stuck as a 10-year-old boy for about 30 years because I was afraid. It wasn't until I spoke out that I finally let him go. I was afraid.
That's profound. And you know what I hear? Do it afraid, do it in fear,
Yes.
but do it.
There you go. That's it. That's it. That's it. Point blank, period.
We've come to the part of our interview. We're going to go into the rapid round of fun. But before we do that, it's something you said that was very profound. And you talked about being afraid.
Yes, ma'am.
And you talked about your zone of genius is
Yes,
listening.
Yes, ma'am.
There's a difference between hearing and listening.
Yes, ma'am.
Drop a value bomb. What should we be listening to you today that you're saying that you want us to hear and listen to?
Selfishness is not bad. Selfishness is self-care. But you have to understand when it crosses the line, because it can go from self-care back to selfishness. Learn yourself. Give yourself praise. Stop waiting on someone to walk in the room and pat you on the back. Do it for yourself. Stop waiting on someone to tell you you're beautiful. Let yourself know. Keep your own self built up, because I'm telling you, when you walk around in that level of confidence, people have to know how to approach you. because you're radiating something that they need. So they got to be able to get into your energy. And by doing that, that's when you create those balls of energy that can't anybody touch.
We're going to move into rapid round of fun. I'm going to give you a series of questions and I want you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you
Okay.
ready for the rapid round of fun?
Yes, ma'am.
Your ideal car,
My Cadillac.
your comfort food,
Hot dogs.
the last movie you saw,
Ooh. I don't really watch movies.
you relax doing what?
Talking to my wife.
Your favorite singer or rapper,
Boys to Men.
your favorite dance song,
I don't have one.
what food you eat every week, no matter what,
Kale.
work out or hit the couch.
50-50.
Randy G. Howell Jr., thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, share with our audience the best way for them to connect with you, to do business with you, leave all your social media handles, and let them know where they can pick up your book.
Well, you can reach me on all social media platforms at Truth Coach Randy. You can also visit my website, www.truthcoachrandy.com, and go pick up Truth of the Matter Is at Amazon. You're going to enjoy the read.
Thank you, Truth Coach Randy. That's a wrap.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you.